Hi guys, my name is Valery, and by the name of this video you probably already know that I finally made it to Cesky Krumlov. We are gonna be visiting Cesky Krumlov for 2 half-a-days and 2 full days, so 72 hours in total. This is the longest I have ever stayed here, and I'm genuinely curious how it will go. I have been to Cesky Krumlov at least 5 times, and I thought in the past that I can definitely say I've seen everything here. Usually people come to Cesky Krumlov just for 1 day, but I thought it would be nice to spend here as much time as possible. In my case is 72 hours, and we'll see if I will be bored to death, because it's a pretty small town. On our first half a day we were just tired from the train that we took from Tabor. I recommend taking a cab from the train station if you have any luggage, since the walk from there is quite long. So after checking in and dropping off our luggage, we went to visit this restaurant where I go every time I come to Cesky Krumlov, at 2 Marys. We had garlic soup, delicious and just what you need on a cold day. I had linden tree tea, which had real leaves of linden tree inside and not the fake stuff that you normally get. This tea tastes just like the Czech Republic, because it's the Czech national tree, get it? Václav, like a true Czech man, had beer, special one to Cesky Krumlov, called Eggenberg smoked beer. Tastes like smoked meat, goes very well with the vegetarian food that he ate. I ate codfish and it was really nice. And now it's time to do something I've never done before. A room tour. The thing that I loved the most is the painting. This one. It's a painting of a woman who just received a letter. It looks like she got some bad news because she dropped her basket, and in the reflection of the window she looks like she aged at least 50 years. Yeah, and also this painting is pretty nice as well. It's a wounded soldier saying goodbye to his loyal horse. Can you please tell me why would you want to have it next to your bed? I don't know. And that last one, probably the most humorous one. Looks like it's a teacher or some apprenticeship is going on, but the cat has a human face. If I ever wake up and my cat looks like it, I think I will go to Bohnice, which we've been actually, watch our video. Anyway, here we have a portrait of Franz Joseph. Usually it's Virgin Mary, but here it's him. And then there is bathroom, which is also pretty creepy. This is where you sit and brush your hair after you killed your husband, you know? Okay, in the mirror, like... We also have breakfast included in the guest house, which was all I needed. Coffee and bread with butter. Alright, time to go out and explore. I had this cafe marked on a map because they have very nice breakfasts and good coffee. And I was in dire need of pancakes, obviously.
The food show.
And then everybody asks, why don't you film more food related videos, because I'm so freaking awkward.
Okay, time to decide what are we gonna do today. The historical center of Cesky Krumlov consists of the inner city, the castle, the monastery, and the area below the castle called Latran. This is where we will go first. Latran is very picturesque and very touristy, same as the rest of the historical center. A lot of souvenir stores only open for the weekend. I already zeroed on something I liked. Our next stop is the castle. We are now just walking uphill to the castle, but you can also take the steps if you want a shortcut. Steps are my enemy, so I'd rather skip them. I am really excited about visiting this castle, because it is the second biggest castle complex in the Czech Republic after Prague Castle. Cesky Krumlov's castle is 18 hectares large and it has around 360 rooms. And also, every time I visited Cesky Krumlov, the castle was closed, so finally I'm here on the right time. We're here in the castle, so let's go inside, let's go see if they have some palaces open, and of course the tower. Castles are usually the prettiest and most historical part of any town, and as you might have noticed, I'm into history. Our goal for today is to visit the tower and the exhibition, and also do the tour of the interiors. First stop is the museum, because that is where you can learn about the history of Cesky Krumlov and the castle, of course. Cesky Krumlov's castle was built here in the end of 13th century by the Wittygoten family. According to the legend, one of the founding fathers of their family, Wittygo of Prčice, divided his estates between his sons, as depicted on this painting, called the Division of Roses. That is their family crests. Cesky Krumlov's symbol is a rose that you can see everywhere in the city. Wittygoten family died out pretty soon afterwards, and Cesky Krumlov became a possession of the Rosenberg family, who made it their residence and lived here for 300 years, since 1302 till 1602. The most famous Rosenberg is of course William of Rosenberg, the High Burgrave of Bohemia and a nobleman who transformed Cesky Krumlov into the cultural and political center of southern Bohemia. He was also into alchemy, and he hired John Dee and Edward Kelly, who were mentioned in our Krivoklat video. William of Rosenberg and his brother Vok didn't have any heirs, so the castle of Cesky Krumlov was sold to Rudolf II, but about that later. The museum in Krumlov's castle has a wide range of memorabilia that was left here by Rosenbergs and the families that lived here afterwards, Eggenbergs and Schwarzenbergs. In the end, you can watch a movie of how the town used to look like in the past. And as if it wasn't enough of history, we went to the guided tour of the palaces that we could not record. Maybe they're hiding something there, I don't know. The tour was at least 1 hour long, and it was one of the best ones that I've ever been to in the Czech Republic. I am hungry. I'm hungry. For lunch, I've picked the Italian place called Nonna Gina. Why not Czech? Well, Italian culture is an integral part of Cesky Krumlov. The Renaissance buildings are the proof of that. Okay, maybe I just needed an excuse to eat carbonara and pizza, but they are 10 out of 10. Now it's time to get rid of these calories and climb the tower. The Belfry Tower is the most iconic structure of Cesky Krumlov. It is medieval at its core and dates back to 13th century, but the style of decoration here is Renaissance. The tower we see today was created by Baltasar Magi from Agorn, and the frescoes were done by Bartholomew Beranek Jelinek. That must be the cutest surname I've ever heard. The tower is 54.5 meters tall and worth the climb.
Bye-bye.
But if you don't want to climb up, you can still find nice viewpoints in the castle. One is on the way to the third courtyard. If you keep going straight through the castle complex, you will reach the Cloak Bridge that was built here in 17th and 18th century. Before that, there was a drawbridge here. The Cloak Bridge has 3 floors, all connected to different parts of the castle and built to comfortably bring the castle dwellers straight to the gardens, for example. But you can take the lower floor for free and have a look at another gorgeous view of the town. And a big surprise to me, but the gardens of the castle are still open. But we only have 30 minutes left until the closing time, so we have to hurry up. This beautiful park also has a very curious construction. It is a rotating auditorium that was created here by an architect, Johan Brems. The auditorium is rotating during the performance, making the whole garden a stage. I mean, maybe one day we can come here and see how does it work. That's very curious. But I would be sick, probably. I would probably throw up. Can you imagine the show? There's a dramatic moment and somebody just goes like... But not everyone likes it. UNESCO threatened Cesky Krumlov with deleting them from the list of sites because according to them the auditorium damaged the historical gardens. It took a petition of 130,000 people and a group of leading architects to convince UNESCO that the auditorium is worth keeping. Alright, let's check out one more view and leave the castle. And that's how we've seen the whole castle. It took us one day, but there was one story that we haven't heard so far, and that is the story of the most brutal murder that happened in Cesky Krumlov. I'm of course talking about the murder of Markéta. That story takes place during the time of Rudolf II, who once, according to the legend, received the prophecy that he would be killed by his oldest son. Maybe that's why Rudolf II never actually had legitimate children, only bastard children. And his oldest son, Julius, he hoped would inherit his best qualities, but it turned out to be quite the opposite. Julius showed an early signs of addiction. He was drinking a lot of alcohol and he was also very aggressive. So eventually he was sent here to the castle of Cesky Krumlov, and the townspeople were terrified of him, especially the ones who had very pretty daughters. Yep, Julius inherited the promiscuity from his father, and once he fell in love with a girl called Markéta. Markéta was a daughter of Lazebnik. What is Lazebnik in English?
I don't know. Like a prostitute? Masseuse?
Markéta was a daughter of a spa owner, and she apparently also fell in love with Julius. But after some time she started to tell her parents that Julius was quite aggressive towards her. He was beating her, and after especially a brutal encounter, they were separated. Afterwards, Julius demanded that she should marry him, and her parents had no choice. And one day, with a heavy heart, they had to send their daughter to this castle where Julius was living. He ordered her to undress and wear the sheepskin and lie down on the table. Then he proceeded to stab her body with a dagger, but it wasn't it. Later he mutilated her body, and that's how servants of the castle found her and had to send a message to the Prague castle, to Rudolf II. But there was no reaction from the Prague castle. Only after some time, when Julius became even crazier and stopped showering and wearing clothes and just walked around destroying stuff in the castle, Rudolf II finally reacted, and they basically imprisoned him here in Cesky Krumlov's castle. Few months later, Julius died of mysterious cause and was buried together with Markéta in the same church next to the castle. Okay, brutal story is over, guys. Let's go have dinner. In winter, the castle interiors close, but you can still walk through the courtyards and see the views, so it is still worth visiting, in my opinion. It's getting dark and I think it's time for dinner. This time we're going to a Czech restaurant, which has the medieval vibes, fear and suffering. Joking, the food is amazing. So what's the verdict of the first half of our trip? One day is just enough to see the castle and get a quick glimpse of the town. Luckily, we have another 36 hours to see the rest of Cesky Krumlov, but that is for our next video. See you next week and good night!